Alain Saint-Ange. He was the former Minister of Tourism in the Seychelles, recently run for president in the country. And I always say the Seychelles could be our sister island on the other part of the world in the Indian Ocean. Welcome, Alain, and it's good to see you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the program.
Alain, we had a major situation, and I know you went through elections and you experienced it, I think, firsthand. But we also had an important election here in the United States. And what is your feedback? What do people say in the Seychelles about the outcome of the election and the situation, how it is here in the US right now?
In the Seychelles, as in the whole world, we followed the American elections. It is something we follow every 4 years. But what is good at the end is the American people have spoken. And when the people speak, we need to find a way to respect the wish of the people. I take this opportunity to thank and congratulate Mr. Biden, now the president-elect, and Kamala, the VP-elect. And I think it's a sign for America. It shows that democracy can take root when there is a wish by the people. It is very clear President Trump was a strong president who concentrated on the economy. But it is not just the economy. When the people are not feeling it, there is always a drive by the people to reclaim their country. And this is what has happened in the American elections. It is sad that the biggest democracy of the world is still not put an end when the people have spoken. And I wish that common sense will prevail soon, and we will see America reclaiming its position in the world at large.
Yeah, and I think we all agree, specifically here in Hawaii. As you know, Hawaii is almost 100% democratic state. So we didn't have all the protests. We didn't have we have protests, but we're quite peaceful here in Hawaii. We're different, I guess, than most areas, and we're also spared Corona in a lot of ways, being 2,500 miles, almost 4,000 kilometers from the closest shores, what is California from here, and 5 hours flight before we hit any of the US mainland. So we're different. We're kind of seeing it also from a distance, even though we're involved in it. And I agree with you. And we all have high hopes that this future administration will come back to its senses. But of course, everyone in the world is now dealing with one common enemy, what is Corona.
Exactly. I was going to say, I mean, it is the most difficult time that America, with high numbers of death and infections of coronavirus, and that America needs to rally its forces. And you rally your forces as a country, as a people. And when you have divisions that bring people to the streets only to try and find little areas to contest things, will bring more heartache for America. People need now to be respecting the rules set by the public health authority, respecting social distancing, having masks and so on. But America needs to lead the show. And when we look at America and what is happening, it worries us in Africa to see that America should be the leader that we follow. And instead of that, we find that America is leading us astray very often.
And Alain, you're right. I said actually to our mayor here, Mayor Kirk Caldwell here in Honolulu, that I know his brother in the world who has a similar vision. I have to say our mayor here has done a tremendous job in keeping this virus out of our islands. And exactly what you're saying, people are disciplined. We're all wearing masks when we're going outside. It's not only required by law. We have $5,000 fines and up to 1 year in jail if we don't. But it seems that also tourists are understanding this, because we opened our state for tourism just about 3 weeks ago now. And tourists are coming back in slower numbers. We usually had 30 to 35,000 every day coming in. We're now at about 2,000 to 3,000 every day. But you can see a few more people out on the streets. The malls are getting a little bit busier, but everyone is wearing masks and everyone is understanding and trying to keep the distance. How is this in the Seychelles? Because your tourism, you're very similar. You rely on the tourism industry for the most part.
Seychelles, we must say congratulations to the health authorities and to the government that we've been able to spare the lives of our people through coronavirus. We've never really had a direct impact on the medical side. We've contained it well. We've been in the forefront on isolation centers and ensuring that people comply with the regulations. But economically, it has hit the Seychelles. And the islands will now need to see how they can relaunch in earnest the tourism industry. It can be done because we are not after numbers. We are just not after high numbers. We can do it by a new approach. I think it is this new normal approach. I am positive that in discussions, it can still be done to have a thriving tourism industry, a remodeled tourism industry that can take Seychelles further. Because without tourism, Seychelles, the economy is in dire straits, and we need tourism to come back soon to re-give employment to people and to put money in the state coffers and in the different areas of the financial world of Seychelles so that people can start earning a living again.
We had Shireen and your former Minister of Tourism on our show not too long ago. And I was impressed when he explained to us that you actually have a hotel for visitors that actually do get identified to have the virus, where they can stay and recuperate. Is this hotel being used? Are there visitors there right now?
But it is. But government has also rented a whole hotel out for putting people in isolation. So this is already in place. And there are hotels, if you are discovered with the virus, that you can go in and check in. And these hotels operate in one way or another as a sort of a transit hospital for coronavirus tourists. But these are things that will have to be developed. But I am more worried today that we need to find a way to bring people to our shores. And we must use our airline, Air Seychelles, as a bit of that insurance policy that it was conceived for, to bring people from source markets that we target, that brings people to Seychelles, and then kickstarts the economy. Seychelles is too small and too dependent on tourism not to have the industry kickstarted immediately. It can be done, and I am sure with discussions among the people of Seychelles and the industry itself, those in the forefront of the industry, that it can still be done and be successful in the coming months.
Alain, you may have not heard this morning, big news here in the US is the emergency authorization by the FDA of a vaccine against corona. What do people think in the Seychelles? Would they take this vaccine? Do you guys want vaccine? Do you have vaccine? Here there are mixed feelings.
Well, I believe that coronavirus, with or without vaccine, will be here for a while, because it'll take a while to really knock out this virus that has become the pandemic. But I appreciated this morning. I felt it was good news for the world to see that the vaccine is on the verge of 90% now being confirmed that it can work. So we need to see the next stages of it from America to see what will be done. But I think the vaccine is one way of ensuring that normality gets back into the lives of everybody.
And Alain, coming to a different subject, we also had an announcement on Friday, what is quite important for the world, for the global tourism industry, specifically going through this crisis. The leader in the world, supposed to lead governments and give recommendations to governments, is the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Currently, this organization is under the leadership of Zurab Polikashvili, a gentleman from Georgia, and there has been a lot of criticism over the years. I know you're intimately involved in it because you run to become the Secretary General. Now, and that's a whole different story. I think we shouldn't get in here, but we now have Her Excellency Mai bint Mohammed Al Khalifa from Bahrain applying for the job. And the election is pretty soon because the current Secretary General moved the date, I believe, from, is it March or May before now to January, hoping to do it to coincide with FITUR, but FITUR is not materializing, and we need to see if the election still will be in January. But it's kind of a refreshing picture to have a lady also from the Gulf region who has been the Minister of Tourism for a country applying for this job. What is your feedback on this?
I followed with interest the minister in Bahrain was putting her hat, throwing her hat into the ring. I feel the UNWTO Secretary General position is the highest office of a minister for tourism. I think the main credentials that we always have to look at is the track record in the world of tourism. It is not a civil service appointment. It is not just the connections you have in the world. It is the highest office of a minister for tourism. You have to know the trade, you have to understand the trade, and you have to have worked in that trade. And I think seeing the minister from Bahrain throwing a hat into the ring is welcomed by the industry. It should be welcomed by countries at large that depend on tourism. I think Africa's had a bad run. A bad run. The last elections, we had two of us, Minister from Zimbabwe, Walter Mzembe, and myself, pitching ourselves as potential Secretary General. Both of us have countries that are successful in the world of tourism. But we are also directly involved in promoting that tourism. And I think, unfortunately, UNWTO ended up with a Secretary General that was not directly involved in the world of tourism. Today, with COVID creating the disruption that it has, it is very, very important that we see a tourism minister with success behind her coming forward to claim that seat. The UAE part of the world, or that Middle East part of the world, where Bahrain is situated, is important for the world of tourism. They provide that hub for airlines that transit in and out of the Middle East area. And you'll find that a player like the minister from Bahrain, if she surrounds itself well with ministers or former ministers, she could be the solution needed in a post-COVID, or even in that transition to the post-COVID. And this is what we have to look for. And I think big and small countries are today looking what will happen to the tourism industry and the airline industry at large. We know that something needs to be done, and UNWTO has a mandate to spearhead and to be the leader that takes the world at large forward in this COVID epidemic times and the post-COVID.
And of course, some of the challenges, and they're already there, and this is I think what also something you would have pushed for if you were Secretary General, is to get more important members into the organization, what includes the United States, what includes the UK, and they're actually not a member, and these are important players in the industry. Do you think a minister from Bahrain would have the power to bring this together? I think one positive aspect, of course, is our election here in the US. We're going to have a president who is more open to these type of initiatives. And he may be the one who's taking the US back into the UNESCO and in the climate agreement. How do you feel, how would you make the UNWTO more attractive for current non-members to find their way back into the organization?
Okay, when I launched my campaign 4 years ago now, I'd said that we need to rally the world at large. Anybody who touches tourism must be invited back. But to be invited back, you need a SG, a Secretary General, who's also friends of all and enemies of none. You must have a country where you originate from, because you are not there as a person. You are there as a country. If you have a country that is friends to everybody, it is easier already to rally everybody around you. I think the idea from the Bahrain side today is also to show respect. Tourism must show respect. You cannot have discrimination in the world of tourism. And being a woman who will head it for the first time, we must be able to say that the world of tourism will show the world that respect in the industry, respect for what you are, respect for the color of your skin, respect for your religious denominations, and respect for the women themselves, that they can travel the world without any form of discrimination. And I think this is why I salute the Minister for Bahrain to come forward in this difficult time of COVID to say, I also want to have a say and to lead the industry.
Elaine, very insightful. Thank you so much for being on our show here, and I'm sure we're going to see you again very soon. I wish you all the best. Stay healthy, enjoy the Seychelles, and hopefully we can see you someplace in person again sometime.
Thank you very much. I look forward to that, Jürgen.
Okay, take care.
All the best.
All the best.